Yesterday, Keir Starmer came out and gave a speech about immigration, in which he basically conceded that everything the far right has been saying about immigration is completely true, and therefore immigration essentially has to come to an end. He says he's going to reduce it by hundreds of thousands. He's probably not. And even if he does, Morgoth made the most piercing assessment here. I'm dropping immigration to 350,000 net. Do you love me now, Reek? That's kind of how we're being treated. This is not ideal. Immigration, of course, has to be negative. We have to get to a point where more people are leaving, more foreigners are leaving, than are coming in for the country to be saved. So, anyway, the reaction to this has been revealing, because what's interesting is people are acting as if we do not have unlimited mass immigration forever, then we have arrived in some sort of terrible paradigm collapsing end in which diversity is over, in which progressivism is over, in which England might not be killed through strangulation. And so I'm just like, oh, wow, okay, Keir Starmer's actually done something useful. And that is to validate our side of the argument and move the dialectic in our favour. What a great start to the day. Good morning, everyone. So let's look at some of the responses. So there are lots of the journalists are pointing out that, yeah, this is a serious shift in tone. This is being called by many people Keir Starmer's Rivers of Blood speech, although it was way more tepid than anything Enoch Powell said, obviously. But the thing is, and I don't doubt that AA is right, that Keir Starmer has just had his ears boxed by Tony Blair, in that the fact that this is just reality. It is just reality that Keir Starmer is talking about. Surprisingly, he was correct about everything. He wasn't BSing about anything. And it is a complete reversal on his previous rhetoric about immigration, obviously, for the last decade or so, right? Keir Starmer has been as pro-immigration as anyone else, but the numbers don't lie. The reality is just as the reality is, and there's no getting away from it. And this, I mean, Zach Polanski running for the leadership of the Green Party, they can't help but hear the word strangers and be like, right, there we go, he's Enoch Powell, even though he wasn't actually parroting Enoch Powell here. But the thing is, Keir Starmer's point is valid. In fact, I would say it's too late for this. We risk becoming an island of strangers. No, we already are. There are colonies of foreign peoples in our country who we don't have any kind of intercourse with. And you can see this in like Whitechapel, where they've got the Bangladeshi sign next to the sign in English. Like this is how estranged these places are becoming. Enoch Powell's prediction was understating what the government would actually do to us. And again, this is why Morgoth's tweet, I think, was just the most piercing on this. Anyway, you have the regular subversives coming out and making their point as to why they're subversives. John McDonnell, I'm the grandson of an Irish migrant, therefore unlimited immigration. No, John McDonnell. Go back to Ireland if that's how you feel. I'm not having it. The shockingly divisive language of Enoch Powell. Also true. The Green Party, committed to the standard radical left-wing extremist narrative. Migrants enrich our culture, contribute to our economy, and become our friends and neighbours. I mean, that's one way of putting it. Or you could say, migrants are destroying England, draining us of all of our money, and are disproportionately represented in the crime statistics, especially when it comes to certain kinds of crime. The worst kinds of crime, actually. So, I mean, you can commit to the failed narrative of the previous paradigm if you want, but you can see that Keir Starmer has actually been like, okay, no, I have to admit reality, because the other day, Labour hit, I think it was something 19% in the polls, or 20% in the polls, and Nigel Farage was at 33%. The question of immigration has become an existential question for the Labour Party, and the Green Party, being a very minimal marginal party as it is, are like, okay, well, we could possibly double our vote share to 15% or something like that. But it's like, okay, but that's never going to get you to a majority in this country. And so what's the point? Unless you just want to be a little woke outpost You had the leader of the SNP just coming out and saying things that are just obviously false. Immigration is good for our economy, good for our public services, and good for Scotland. That's because Scotland barely has any immigration, because the immigrants don't tend to want to live in Scotland. Because when you arrive in the United Kingdom, you can live anywhere in the UK that you want, and they choose to live in England for some reason. I mean, God, I wish they would accept the Scottish government's narrative on immigration and bloody move there. So it's not our problem. But no, immigration is not good for our economy. And in fact, Keir Starmer just admitted this when challenged on it by a journalist. He said, no, we've had 4 years of the Conservative open border experiment, which is great rhetoric, to be honest, and we've had no growth. So there's absolutely no linkage between mass immigration and our economy. In fact, if anything, it seems that it does damage to the economy. Any growth we should have had during this time has been sucked up by benefits to immigrants. And this is correct. This is just obviously correct. And so it's very interesting how they're afraid to change. Anyway, so the left-wing reactionaries started trotting out the standard narratives. And these are just, they have no teeth. Migrants quite literally built this country. What are you talking about, man? Before, like, 1948 or whenever they start arriving, this country was the most technologically advanced country in the world. We had the largest navy the world had ever seen, and the largest empire in human history. And we had civilized the world, made England the lingua franca, and were the richest place on earth. And then you're like, yeah, migrants built this country. No, they didn't. I'm not saying migrants caused us to lose it, obviously. But, like, we were a vast and great empire. We were the world's leading people before migration. This is obvious nonsense. It's just ahistorical BS. And the idea that the English couldn't rebuild their own country, again, just ridiculous. Anyway, Barnaby chimes in. Actually, those of us from different cultures have taught the Brits new ways to eat, drink, and make music together, to sing and dance and laugh and cry together. You know this is true because you live in London, but you pretend otherwise, so you feed racism. Well, I mean, London's a shithole, right? But also, and I replied, well, look, we didn't want this and we never asked for it, so you're here against our consent. And he replies, well, you never cared much about the consent of the locals when you invaded India. Oh, right, okay. So you've got the same morality as some backwards Pakistani tribal council, and your presence in England is a revenge rape by you against us because of what our ancestors did in India, which honestly wasn't like a bad thing for India either. We made modern India, we end the practice of sati, etc., etc. But the point being, it's revenge. It's just revenge. So this facade of, oh, we're here to teach the Brits new things. No, we don't want your new things, right? We've never wanted your new things. We've always voted against this. And you imposing yourselves upon us is, when pushed on it, just the merest scratch. Oh, it's revenge. We are raping you in revenge. Interesting. Jonathan again. An island of strangers is a bleak and dangerous phrase to come from a Labour PM's mouth. We are not a hermetically sealed pure breed, nor do we share some mystical kinship. Britain is a product of immigration, always has been. Britain is not the product of immigration. We are the product of a long-settled people. And, I mean, between the Norman conquest and now, fewer people came to this island than between Labour in 1997 and now. That's how not an island of immigrants we are. But I love the fact that Keir Starmer is saying we're an island of strangers, right? We risk becoming an island of strangers. Now that is speaking about relations, right? How do people know each other? We don't know each other, then we are strangers. And Jonathan goes to pure breed, the purity of blood. Instantly, he changes the subject of the conversation. Instead of talking about, yeah, no, these are a bunch of strangers and we don't know them, so why are we bringing them here? It's, well, you just want racial purity, you're a Nazi, is what he's trying to say. No, that falls flat too. Then you get the the economic arguments. Immigrants aren't driving down wages, the bosses are managing that all by themselves. Oh, are they, David? How are they doing it? What is the tool they are using to drive down wages? Who are they hiring in mass numbers in competition against the natives to be able to drive down the wages, David? The immigrants definitely have some role to play here, don't they? It's The idea that there's no linkage between the bosses and the immigrants is wild to me. And David is not persuasive at all, so go away. And so you've got African men saying xenophobia has just gone very mainstream and people seem to be okay with that. Britain has always been a xenophobic country, England especially. Like, the English public have always voted against immigration. Enoch Powell had a 78% approval rating. Can you even imagine? Any of our politicians. Nigel Farage has got a 33% positive and 67% negative approval rating, and he's the most popular politician in the country. But 78% of people agreed with Enoch Powell. I'm just saying, you are in a far-right country. You are in a xenophobic country. That is an accurate description of this country, even to this day, where 67% of people don't want more immigration. You don't know what country you're in, my friend. And so Melissa's like, well, instead what will be accomplished is making the UK an immensely hostile place for people of colour. Well, Melissa, it's a good thing that people of colour have the rest of the world to go and live in, right? You've got all of Africa, you've got all of Asia, you've got all of South America, you've got various, like, literally, 170 something countries are just mostly people of colour. So you can go and live in one of them. Like, you're not obliged to live here in my country. You can go and live in your own countries. There are loads of other countries where I'm sure you will feel that the system is not deliberately rigged against people of colour. You can go and live in those countries, can't you? What's wrong with those countries? Why don't you want to live in those countries? Why do you need to live in our country? And then, of course, you've got the usual salt. Oh, you invaded my homeland. Cut out the tongues of my ancestors for speaking our native language. You traverse the globe, plundering, pillaging, and raping all around you. You bomb the shit out of the Middle East, smarmy prick. Okay, no, actually, that's not really what we did, is it? Right? I mean, if plundering, pillaging, and raping is like setting up trade routes, building infrastructure, and bringing about law and order and ending slavery, then yes. But that's not what you mean, is it? I mean, this just unbelievable salt against the British for winning has just been amazing. Like, this particular image. The English invaded more than half the world of the countries they ruled. How many languages do the English speak? 1. Because we won and you lost. I don't think you understand what winning means. Why would we do the things that the losers had to do? There would be no reason for us to learn foreign languages when we can say you are going to learn ours. And even now, the English is the lingua franca. And I just want to be clear, English is by far the best language as well. Like, this is actually not a controversial topic. The marriage of the Latinate and Anglo-Saxon gives England a richness, English a richness and depth that other languages simply don't have, and it makes it incredibly versatile. And loads of authors, foreign authors, will say the same thing because there's so much you can do with the language. But the point being, why would we learn your languages when we were the winners? Anyway, then you have sort of regular American activists. I don't know what to say about the immigration white paper. I feel sick. I feel defeated. I cannot recommend the UK as a place to live any longer. When Labour will pull the rug out from under you like this. Good. We didn't want you to come. We've never wanted people to come. We would like you to leave us alone. Don't act like you're the victim of us. We are the victim of you. You came here in overwhelming numbers because for some reason our governments successively were willing to totally backstab us. We never asked for this. We do not consent to you being here. And for some reason, you have been inflicted on us anyway. This is not fair. Again, you have countries of your own. We gave up the empire. We said, right, we will release our grip on the world. We can't afford this anymore. We've just defeated the Nazis. We will let it go. And instead of any kind of gratitude for this, you come here to punish us. I'm not having it. I'm not sympathetic in any way, shape, or form. You shouldn't be here. And if you are here, you are not here by right. You are here by the grace of the people who live here. I mean, look at this, right? I've lived here since September 2020. So you came here during the pandemic. Okay, weird. I fought hard to stay here. And now for the next several months, I'll live in limbo where the government decides what it means to have contributed enough to the UK economy to qualify to see if you can live here. Yeah, that's true, right? You live here at our pleasure. if we don't want you here, we are entitled to be able to send you home, and even the Labour government agrees with this. Like, there is just no right for you to be here, and if you live here, it's because we were kind and let you.